Whiskey for the Ages is not sponsored or endorsed for any product or program mentioned in this show and receive no remuneration from their creators.
Hello, everybody. A warm welcome back to our Whiskey for the Ages podcast subscribers. I'm your host, Brian Dawson, and tonight both Hannah and Elora are here with me.
And a big thanks to those of you tuning in for the first time with us.
I hope everyone enjoys this show and consider subscribing to the podcast as well. It's really, really great.
Tonight, we're going to return to a regular feature in our series, Whiskey Proof.
Yes, so last series in episode 4, we did a spotlight on 100 proof whiskeys. Whether they were bottled in bond or not, all of them were 100 proof. And in series 1, episode 5, we talked about 90 proof whiskeys.
That's right.
In this episode, we'll be tasting products between those points, which actually, this is kind of my comfort zone. I don't like the too high proofs. I like this kind of zone here.
So let's just jump right into our feature. And frankly, we've reviewed quite a few of these 90 to 99 proof whiskeys.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
You can always find them on our website, but let's just go through our list of them.
Yep. Well, so starting in at 90.2. This was Jefferson's Reserve Bourbon. This one wasn't aged at sea. And then we've got a couple of Woodford Reserve Distillers Select Bourbon and their double oaked bourbon. Both of those are coming in at 90.4. And then one of our family favorites here is a Blade & Bow, which is bottled at 91 proof.
Which, that one, I do want to say, I think when we reviewed it, we weren't totally blown away by it, but now it's officially in Idaho stores fairly regularly. And every time we've grabbed it, it's just one that I want to reach for again and again. It sits at that happy proof and has a good complexity to it for that proof and for the price that it is. There's a lot of winners in this range.
I might consider bringing that one back up to school because I liked it too. So
It's one of those that every time I reach for it, it's a little bit less than the last time I got it. Somebody else likes it besides me.
yeah.
So let's dig in a bit. One might ask, why are there so many whiskeys between 90 and 100 proof?
It really does seem like when you go into the liquor store and you're looking at that big daunting wall of offerings or shelf of offerings, the overwhelming majority of them do sit in that range.
That's right. So whiskeys in that 90 to 100 proof range are 45 to 50% alcohol by volume, ABV. They strike a balance between flavor and intensity and drinkability. They're popular for many reasons. One is the flavor profile.
I find that I actually get a lot more flavor out of these ones than out of higher proof ones, personally, because it's so much more comforting to drink it rather than the higher proof ones. I don't want to be essentially overwhelmed with alcohol. I want to be able to find other flavors. So this zone is very comforting to me, and I'm able to navigate the flavor profiles more. And
distillers know that too, because what they're doing is they're proofing down their barrel or cask strength whiskeys to give people like you an easy to detect spectrum.
I want to have fun.
Yeah, and there is very much a delicate balance with those high proof products that sometimes the alcohol can really genuinely overwhelm a whole lot of flavors, and it takes a little bit of water or ice to bring those things out. So being able to have a regular sipper within this range it's naturally going to be a bit easier to pick flavors out. And certainly if you're a beginner, this is a good area to start.
That's right. At 90 to 100 proof, whiskeys retain natural flavors, just like Hannah just said. Many of them will be able to detect the grain, possibly the yeast in the barrel age as well. Most drinkers will get a rich and nuanced tasting experience with these. Another one is versatility. At 90 to 100 proof, whiskeys are easy to enjoy.
Like Elora mentioned.
Yeah.
For sipping, you can also mix with these. You can have it neat or on the rocks or in cocktails. They provide enough strength to stand out in mixed drinks. And they're strong enough to hold their own even in the cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
This has always been an area that I'm a little hesitant about with using them in cocktails. Like a lot of people my age, I love a good cocktail. I love the fruity ones. But whenever I've had any cocktails dealing with whiskey, it's not blown me away. And the reason that I use for it is because whiskey is already such a strong flavor profile. So instead of like vodka or gin even, you can get flavor profiles out of those two, but whiskey's just so strong. It's hard to consider making a cocktail with so many other mixers with it, in my opinion, without one of them overwhelming the other.
Right. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of reviews on the website. Some more that are there at 91.2 proof, the 1792 sweet wheat bourbon. Frankly, it was the first bourbon that talked to me.
And it might have been the first bourbon that I reviewed for the website. It wasn't the first bourbon I'd ever had, but it's definitely within those first 5 whiskeys that I reviewed and posted.
And then at 91.4 proof, Michter's US 1 bourbon.
Hey, that's what we have.
Yep. And then some Michter's toasted barrel bourbon. Michter's does a lot of them at that proof. Mm-hmm. And then at 92, there's quite a few there too. Courage and Conviction American Single Malt, High West bourbon, Hudson Baby bourbon, the J. Henry 5-year out of Wisconsin, Larceny Straight bourbon. That's one of Elora's favorites.
And reviewed in our first podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Old Elk Wheated. And at 92.6, Hill Rock. It's another Solera aged bourbon.
Special finish one. Yeah. That review, if you go to our website and look that one up, we go into a little bit more detail about what that Solera aged means. And then, of course, our thoughts on how it impacts the product. But let's go back. We mentioned the Michter's US 1 bourbon, which came in at 91.4 proof. We've got an Elora, like Elora mentioned, we have a little bit of that tonight.
Yep. So it's category, it's a small batch. Coming out of Shively, Louisville, Kentucky, from Michter's Distillery, their DSP number, their distilled plant, KY20003, mash bill of 79% corn, 11% rye, 10% malt barley. I believe the barrel char on this one is number 3. Not quite as dark as they can go. Barrel entry proof is quite low at 103.
Usually those sit at around 125.
Yep. Michter's does not put an age statement on their entry-level bourbon. So no age statement here. As Hannah said, 91.4 proof. This particular bottle is batch number 17J 1373. So what we're tasting, that's from that batch.
And I know that seems a bit out there and a bit nuanced and maybe a bit ridiculous to even mention. I do want to say this is a bourbon that this family is very familiar with. We've had many bottles since our first try of it, whatever year that was. And there are differences between batches, noticeable differences between batches. And some of them really are far better than other batches.
To compare, it's kind of like if a company is making a similar product and they just like regularly ship it out and create it. There's gonna be little nuances. I find that with instruments all the time where you can have a couple of clarinets from a Yamaha brand and they'll play completely differently. Bourbon's very similar to that. It can come from the same distillery but have completely different nuances depending on where you are, what kind of food you had beforehand. I mean, there's a lot of different factors in the taste of it.
That's true. So I paid $47.95 for this particular bourbon here in Idaho here about a month ago. A fair price that you might find around the country, $63. Shelf price is $63.99. It is somewhat difficult to source. Sometimes it's in stock all the time, and then they'll go months and we won't see it. I wouldn't quite say it's an allocated bourbon, but just keep in mind that it may not be on your shelf every week, but it will pop up from time to time. So girls, tell me, what does it smell like?
Well, I'm getting a lot of bread out of this, and I'm also getting some mellow fruits, some cherries, maybe even a little bit of apricot. And I'm also getting some caramel in there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the apricot, and I definitely agree with the caramel. Those two are pretty strong in this particular batch. There's a little bit of red berry going on as well. At 91-ish proof, the alcohol isn't particularly stinging. It's quite palatable. I think it adds a nice kind of spice to it. I would say that there is a little bit of a white pepper note to it. Works with that sweetness of the apricot and the caramel pretty nicely.
What other spices?
I get a little bit of nutmeg, tiny bit of cinnamon.
And allspice. There's that cinnamon element. Yep.
I'd say also chai spice too. There's some cardamom in this.
Yeah.
It smells great.
Yeah, very warm. You know, a little reminiscent of like a peach pie.
Yeah.
There you go.
This would be a good one to have with a peach pie.
Yeah.
I agree.
With some ice cream.
So let's get back to some more reasons why the whiskeys are in the 90 to 100 proof range. Most of it has to do with consumer demand and preference. If someone's getting into bourbon, they may be scared of the 130 proof bourbon.
And frankly, they should be.
Or just blissfully unaware.
Yeah.
You know, this range, it's just in demand. Mm-hmm. There's a significant market demand for that. It strikes the balance between strength and smoothness. Mm-hmm. It's strong enough to provide robust flavor, but it's also kind of rich. So it's right there. And then it's traditional. It's in those industry standards that have been out there. Historically, most whiskeys have been bottled at these proofs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of somewhat become the standard here in the industry. It remains popular among many producers and consumers alike. And it's kind of shaped what the whiskey industry is.
Even though whiskey can be bottled at lower proofs, 80 proof is a common proof that scotches, for instance, will do, or even in bourbons you'll see the famous 86 proof because that has its own jargon, history, and whatnot. But that range, that 90 to 100, is really where the majority of consumers are going to sit, just because it offers a little bit more than that 80 proof range, unless you're a scotch drinker, of course, but offers a bit more in that 90 to 100 range without breaking the bank either.
So, Elora, tell me, what do you think this tastes like? What kind of flavors are you getting here?
Well, I really liked how Hannah said pie, like peach pie. I get the fruits that I'm tasting, but they're mold in a sense. Like, if they were getting ready to be put into a pie. It's like fruit filling to me, to be honest.
Kind of mashed?
Yeah,
Maybe
I would
even
say
baked?
so. Yeah, there's, like, anything that's caramel or caramelized. It's just from the fruit baking. It's not necessarily that caramely element from straight up sugar. It's like, the cooked texture of apples, or
That's kind of bubbled over the top.
Yeah, it's that sort of syrupy essence that sits with your baked fruit.
Yeah. So I'd say, baked fruit mostly. Natural sugars. So I'm really happy with this. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's 91 proof or thereabouts. It's somewhat warming in the throat.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming whatsoever. This feels very, very nice. Just in the mouth, in the chest, everything.
And it has almost a pleasant bitter note right at the back of the palate that normally I don't care for that, but when I sit it up against that peach from the front, everything balances out pretty nicely, actually.
We've talked about it several times, how the taste buds are organized on our tongues. So essentially, for just a brief over of it, the sweet taste buds are usually located at the front, bitters are towards the back, salt is on the sides, and then like your savory and this other center one, I can't remember.
The sourness is a little bit on the sides, and then salt kind of mixes in towards the front as well, but it's predominantly sweet at the front.
Yeah.
These taste buds are everywhere on the tongue. It's just the specific ones are just mostly located in these areas. So when we talk about the bitters being in the back, that's usually where we get a lot of bitter flavors or sweet factors. It's towards the front of the tongue.
So how does this one finish? I mean, what's happening after you take your swallow?
Well, like you mentioned, that there's a warmth there. I think that there's even a little bit of an effervescence that lingers.
A sparkle?
Yeah, and I think that's due to the bitterness at the back of the tongue. Like there's almost like, I don't know how to word it without making it sound gross, because it's not gross. It's actually very pleasant. But like how you just get a carbonation out of it right at the back.
And make no mistake, this is not carbonated.
No. We're drinking it neat. But there is a little bit of like a baking soda carbonation going on at the back, mixed with the warmth, coupled with that sweetness from the front. All of it just works together on the finish to create like a nice, warm, bubbly feeling. And
a wood element kind of comes in at the back too.
I'd say oak. Yeah, like varnished oak, if that makes sense. I mean, my clarinet is made of wood, so whenever it gets oiled, there's that strong, oily smell to it. Hannah, I think we can kind of summarize that feeling as if like you were drinking soda, and that's what the feeling is. Like it leaves that kind of a finish.
A little bit, but there's not that intense of a burn.
Right. So on to more whiskeys in this range, that 91 proof and better. At 93 proof, everyone's favorite, Blanton's Single Barrel at 93 proof. And then both Old Forester 1870 and the 1910 are at 93 proof.
I've always said Old Forester is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It sits in that range.
We've got Yellowstone Select. And then coming in at 93.7, 1792 small batch. And then a whole log jam, 94 proof. Elijah Craig puts their small batch bourbon there, their rye bourbon, and their toasted barrel at 94 proof. And then another kind of a family favorite around here, George Remus Straight. Maker's Mark does their 46 bourbon at 94 proof. Rossville Union Straight Rye and Willet Pot Still Reserve Bourbon is at 94 proof. Now, it's my turn. We're going to go back again to the 92 proof, this time an American single malt. And we discussed this one before in Series 2, Episode 7, I believe, Courage and Conviction American Single Malt. So, obviously, American Single Malts category, coming out of Virginia Distilling Company. 100% malt barley. No corn, no rye in this one. No barrel char is published or barrel entry proof. This one's interesting. Comes out of 3 casks. 50% of the blend is ex-bourbon casks. We've got 25% Elora sherry and Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. And then 25% is ex-cuvee, European red wine casks. There is no age statement. However, if you go to the website, it says it's aged a minimum of 4 years. ABV is 46% or 92 proof, as we mentioned. Booze app says a fair price on this one is $96.46. I paid $59.95 for it. And this particular batch is called the Harry Corkburn batch. Their label is stamped right on the cap that says that's what it is. So what do you think, girls? This is a big departure from the last one we had.
Yes.
We're jumping categories.
Yeah. I've always said that American single malt is kind of like the bridge between American whiskey and Scotch. Simply because, like what we said, it's mostly barley for this one, 100% barley. This one is a very pastoral whiskey. I'd say it has elements of like a sweet grass that you'd find in like agricultural lands. I do get that barley element very, very strongly in here, so very grain grass oriented for me.
Interesting you say that, because as I'm smelling it right now, I'm smelling fresh clover flowers. Like you just pluck the clover right out of the stem of the grass.
I can get the hay, I can get the grass. I also get chocolate, though.
This is fruity.
I'd say a dark chocolate if there was.
I disagree. I actually think it'd be a very pale milk chocolate. Not quite white chocolate, but we're getting close to that point because there is very much a sweetness here. To me, it doesn't read quite as fruity. Maybe a little bit like a chocolate-covered orange.
There you go. There you go.
They're got a little bit of citrus
There's
there.
a little bit of citrus there. Yep, that's exactly right. So back to more reasons why distillers are doing this range. Regulatory and production considerations. While the minimum proof for whiskey is 80 to be bottled, there is no strict maximum. Many distillers find proofing down their whiskeys to that 91 to 99 proof allows for the regulatory standards to be easily met. It maximizes their quality and appeal. This proof range also helps in achieving consistent product. In other words, they can dump a lot of it in a vat and mix it down and put them all together and then put a little water in it and put out a standard product. Basically, reliable reproduction. Now, of course, there are some financial reasons as well. Distillers are proofing down to why they're doing it. Increased volume and sales. So if you could imagine barrel, you got barrels that are producing whiskeys in the, 125, 130 range. If you dump a bunch of those together, what happens if you put some water in it? You're going to get more yield. Mm-hmm. By diluting that whiskey, producers increase their product volume. This allows them to simply sell more units.
Because you also have to keep in mind that when a whiskey has sat in a barrel for a longer period of time, the angels get a higher share and the devil gets a greater cut. So you have less raw, pure product when you're ready to go in the bottle. So being able to add that water to it, you get to increase your volume so much and make it more palatable to the people as a whole.
And, of course, lower proof whiskey can be sold at a lower price point.
Yep.
So that means that there's more volume.
Higher accessibility.
Yeah, absolutely. It leads to increased market penetration. In fact, Elijah Craig at 94 proof they still consider their bottles a small batch, yet some sources say that they use as many as 200 barrels in their small batch. Mixed together, watered down to 94 proof, they're able to put out a consistent product, and it all tastes the same from one bottle to the next to the next to the next.
So, on that note, are higher proof whiskeys more expensive?
Yes.
Generally.
Okay, so
Generally.
it's kind of like a labor sort of thing, like what it takes to make that whiskey.
Labor and availability. Mm-hmm. Labor and availability, absolutely. So back to our American single malt here. How about taste? What are you thinking?
It's interesting. I definitely prefer the Michter's more. Simply because I just like that sweetness that the Michter's has. If you imagine the smell of books, I kind of get that in the taste of this. Like, there's paper, there's grains, and there's grass. I'm still getting that similar taste that I got from the smell of it. So, very similar to the smells.
The grass is there. You get a little essence of smoke that comes up right at the back of the palate. Like, you kind of feel it as if you were sitting around a campfire and you sort of start tasting that smoke and feeling it even up in the back of your nose a little bit. It's very mellow. You're not going to get as much of a spice and certainly not as much of an alcohol burn as you would with a bourbon or even a rye, despite the proof being around the same, even a little bit higher in this case than that Michter's that we started with. I say that's mostly because of the barley. You don't have a rye influence in the mash bill. Predominantly barley, all barley. It's a single malt.
Yes.
And barley is usually used as an equalizer in whiskeys. It's a stabilizer. It keeps things very even. So you're not going to get necessarily the most amount of complexity with every American single malt, but you are going to get incredibly unique flavors from every American single malt.
Like you, I'm tasting the rye or the grains. Mm-hmm. You know, I get that, but I'm also getting a wine element, and that's got to be from being aged in the sherry casks.
Yeah,
and the cuvee
definitely.
casks.
Yeah, I get that as well. And I remember us noting that when we talked about it in the other podcast that this one featured in. It had a wine tone.
Very much.
Personally, I feel like if you like Scotch, you're more likely to like American single malt whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting one for me. I really like this. Mm-hmm. Do I like it better than the Michter's? Like you're saying you like the Michter's better? I think on any given night, if I'm in that mood, I'm reaching for this. Because I like that winey element.
Whiskey is so subjective to any sort of factor, what mood you're in. I personally have to prepare myself if I'm going to go for an American single malt, because I was, in terms of hard liquor, I was raised on bourbon. So I have to mentally prepare myself more for an American single malt. I have to mentally prepare myself more for even like tequila, like anything that's like a stark contrast from bourbon and rye.
And to be fair, we started out with a pretty fine bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And to deviate or switch gears to go to American single malt, it may not be fair to say let's go to American single malt after drinking a really nice bourbon.
That being said, this is still very nice.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly like it.
I don't know if I'd pay $100 for it if I saw it on the shelf, but $60, like what we pay in Idaho, that's a fair price.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the others that we've had at 95 proof, Horse Soldier Signature small batch.
That's a really good one.
Yep. Old Forester Statesman. The Weller Create Your Own Private Barrel Bourbon. That one comes in the white label. Haven't seen one of those in quite a while.
It's like it's a unicorn.
Very much a unicorn. the Davies County Cabernet Sauvignon finish bourbon. Interesting that we're coming off of this wine barrel finished and then Davies County. Davies County Kentucky straight bourbon. Noble.
Those ones are really hard to find. We only had them in our stores for a really short period of time. And I kind of took a leap of faith on them and gave them a chance, gave them a little home. And the Kentucky Straight was fairly decent. Did really enjoy the Cabernet Sauvignon finish.
But you like those wine finish.
I do.
Yep. Noble Oak, Double Oak Rye, 96 proof or 96.6.
This is the last one that we have.
Yep.
So that Noble Oak.
Yep. 1792 single barrel, 1792 12-year.
Both the best of the 1792s, I think.
Yeah. And then an Angel's Envy, and this is quite an old batch we had, 70-Z. That interesting body temperature.
Yeah.
20 or 98.6 proof. Blood Oath Pact 7 and Pact 8. In fact, all of the Blood Oaths come out at that 98.6 proof.
That's pretty ironic.
Yeah.
No, it's purposeful.
Yeah.
I love them for it. If you guys ever see a Blood Oath, regardless of whatever pact it is, and keep in mind that each pact has a different finish on it. Some are in old rum casks, some are in old wine casks, or port casks, or bourbon casks.
Sauterne.
All of them are good. Just buy it.
Just buy it.
Just buy it. Just do it. Just do it. Trust the process.
And if you don't like it, send it my way.
Yep, we'll take it.
Midwinter Nights Dram. That's also at 98.6 proof. And then let's kind of jump back. Girls kind of hinted towards this. That Noble Oak Double Oak Rye. This is the last one we have up in our lineup tonight. So it's a finished rye whiskey. It's distilled in Indiana. Distillery is unpublished. However, it's quite likely that it's MGP, simply because it's Indiana. Bottled by Noble Oak out of Newton, Ohio. Owned by Brain Brew Ventures. Kind of an interesting name. Parent company is Edrington. Mash bill and barrel char and barrel entry proof are all unpublished. It's finished in finished in barrels with port wine staves added to it. No age statement here, but 96 proof, and we paid $39.95 for it. Sale price I got it for here back in June was $32.95. Fair price $49.95, and on the shelf you typically find it for about $45. I actually paid $32.95 for it. The shelf or the manufacturer's suggested retail is $40. So it's on sale here in Idaho right now. Idaho. All right. Girls, this Noble Oak, what does it smell like?
I have to say, I really love this one. I think this is a sleeper. That you mentioned it just a little bit ago, that Midwinter Nights Dram Rye. That one is also finished in port barrels, I believe, not staves. That one is highly sought after, especially here in Idaho, because that one is from the High West line, from Utah. So Idaho, Utah, we're pretty close to each other. So there's that idea that Midwinter can be accessible. Midwinter's also quite expensive and isn't actually that quite accessible. So I always say that this is the one that you should grab if you want to try that Midwinter Nights Dram, because this one is a very satisfying dupe for that one at a third of the price practically.
I think in our reviews we even mentioned that. That this is a great substitute for that. Mm-hmm. It's not going to break the bank. So if you guys want to experiment out there and kind of get a feel for what a port finished rye might be, this is a great way to go.
And port finishes for ryes, clearly that's a very common thing that ryes will do. They lend themselves to each other really nice. The rye has a big forward spice to it, big forward freshness to it. And then you couple it with something dark, rich, and sweet. like that port. So the two really complement each other well, and that comes out in the smell as well. You really have to take another inhale here. You get a lot of dried fruits, dried dark fruits, especially raisins, dark and dried cranberries, other red berries in there. It's really pleasant.
So I'm going to give a shout out to my sister-in-law, Joan. Go out and look for this one, Joan.
Oh, you'll love it.
Yeah, the Noble Oak Rye, double oak is listed on the label, has a maroon label. You're a rye drinker, you'll like this one.
Mm-hmm. So, but Elora, what do you smell off of it?
I get all of the dark elements, and I'd even go so far as to say that there is a very dark caramel element to it, like almost burnt. This kind of caramel would be going very, very well on probably a grilled cake of some sort. Not to, nudge any ideas, Dad. Just very, very, very nice. It can also be a bit toffee-like dark toffee. I feel like can go well in this. Any kind of cobbler, honestly, with those dark fruits.
Absolutely.
I would say that would pair really, really well with this. I do get a bread element as well. I mean, it's a rye whiskey. There's got to be some sort of bread element in there. But it's kind of a lighter rye with dark fruit. So
Um,
would you have anything else to add to
I don't know that I would add to anything. I mean, you guys covered the gamut here. It was interesting tonight when I was laying these particular whiskeys out. We were just about out of the Michter's. I'd opened this bottle, or actually had bought this bottle so that we could do this podcast.
But it's good, and Hannah and I decided that we wanted some of it on a few nights, and we were almost out of it.
The Courage and Conviction hadn't been opened. That's to be understood. I like American Single Malt. The girls, maybe not so much.
I gotta be in the mood for it. Like, I feel like I could enjoy it with a book.
And then the Noble Oak tonight, it would have already been opened as well.
By me! I saw it the other night and, I haven't had that in a while. Come on down.
It really is like picking a book off of the shelf that you've read, and you really love the book, and it's like, oh, I miss you. And that's essentially very much how we go about any kind of whiskey when we're about to drink it.
Yeah, we look at the bookcase.
Yep.
We look at the bunker and we say, yeah, that'll work. So a few more financial reasons as to why the 90 to 100 proof whiskeys popular with distillers. You remember I'd mentioned the flavor profile from above? Well, there's financial reasons here too. More people buy lower proof whiskeys.
It's true.
Plain and simple. Lower proof whiskeys appeal to that wide array of customers. And frankly, it's perceived as more approachable. I'll tell you a little story. When I was first getting started, I was afraid of the high proof whiskeys. I thought anything over 100 proof was going to knock me down. And I stayed under that 100 number for quite a while. And then I ventured into one day Old Forester 1920 at 115, and I was blown away.
Mm-hmm. What a great one to get blown away by.
It's just market.
Yeah.
It's just market.
Well, and I think that it's probably pretty safe to say that even if you're a whiskey drinker who favors higher proof, like I am, like Dad is, we both still regularly reach for product in the 90 to 100 proof range. We still really adore quite a few from that line. And I don't know if I'd really be able to say the same thing about people who really prefer that 90 to 100 proof range. They're not jumping out of their comfort zone to grab that higher proof one. And if they are, maybe they're still brand new to whiskey and they're finally willing to take that step to at least give it a shot. That 90 to 100 proof accommodates everybody.
Absolutely. And then, of course, production and storage efficiency. So if you're proofing down it's a cost savings. It reduced costs because storage and aging. They can age and store at a higher proof, and then when they get ready to bottle it, they can just simply water it down and bottle. Mm-hmm. They don't have as many low-proof barrels sitting in the warehouse.
So, guys, what do you think about the taste?
I reiterate again, this one's very much a sleeper. The nose and palate are very reminiscent of each other. You get those dark berries, those dark fruits on the palate as well. I get more of that caramel that Elora was mentioning from the nose. The alcohol, extremely palatable here. I like this range of proof for many reasons. One of them being, I find that the distillers take that alcohol, that ABV, and the ABV itself almost becomes its own contributing flavor.
Absolutely.
It's there to heighten other flavors. It's there with purpose. It's there to blend flavors together, be that glue for them, and it really becomes its own contributing force. And I feel like it's extremely apparent here in this Noble Double Oak. Noble Oak Double Oak.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Right? So the alcohol is really not something to be afraid of here, or something to be thrown into the back seat either. It's here to play, and it's here to be a member of the family with the caramel, with the bready element, with the fruit.
And the range, the 91 to 100 proof range, lends itself to finishing.
Oh, yes.
So the last 2 we've had, finished in wine barrels, finished in port casks, finished with staves. I mean, this is just part of the adventure of whiskey that you just don't get elsewhere. I think this one, of the 3 we've had, is probably the most complex.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely agree with that. I really like how you organize this flight, because the Michter's, to me, was very... I kind of attributed it to like a summer sort of deal, or even fall, like late fall. It still had the seasonal spices that you'd find in a pie. And then the American single malt was very spring-like, because it was very like grassy.
It kind of wakes you up, because you
wakes you
really
up.
weren't ready for it.
And this one is just straight up Christmas to me. I got a lot of cranberries. Like, you could make a cobbler cranberry sort of deal, it would go well with it.
Yeah, and I did say it's a dupe for midwinter night's dram.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it's a very seasonal
So
flight.
don't sleep on this one. Noble Oak Double Rye. Let's try it again. I can't say it either. Noble Oak Double Oak Rye. And then we've got the Courage and Conviction American Single Malt, 100% barley. And then our Michter's Bourbon. So 3 distinctly different
But they
products.
pair so well. Like, if you want to go on a seasonal journey with these 3, we're all for it. You should be all for it, too.
So which of the 3 was your favorite, Elora?
I really, really like the Noble Oak Double Oak, because it reminds me of a dessert you made the other night. In fact, very, very much reminds me of that. He made a strawberry rhubarb upside down cake on the grill. And let me say, this would go very, very well with that. I would be a very happy camper. I low-key want a dessert right now.
I'd have to agree. I probably reach for the Michter's the most out of these 3. However, the Noble Oak Double Oak has got to be my favorite out of this bunch. I don't reach for it as often, simply because I don't want it to go away and I want to save it. Even though it's extremely accessible on our shelves, there's
it's one we forget about.
Yeah.
And we kind of go for what is easily accessible to us. It literally is just like picking a book off of a bookshelf. We go into it, I go in with blind eyes, practically. I'm like, that one. Or something. Or I asked Or I ask Dad or Hannah to be like, just pick me something sweet or pick me something fruity. I don't care. Just whatever is there.
So I want you to try something. Each of you have some of the Noble Oak in your glasses.
Yeah.
Take a small sip. Let it kind of play on the palate. Let it do whatever. And then set it down and grab the Courage and Conviction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead and swallow when you're ready. But when you're done, grab the Courage and Conviction. I think you're going to be surprised. There's comparative elements there.
Yep.
I accidentally grabbed the Victors. I need to do that again.
But
on that note,
yeah,
it's the wine.
It's the wine.
But
the
on
wine
that
is
note,
very
it brings
strong.
out it brings out the sweetness from what I didn't do, so I'm going to do it again.
Well, it brings out the sweetness and the Courage and Conviction as well.
Yes.
Highlights the, was it the Oloroso? Is that what?
Yes, the Oloroso.
Yeah. It
Or the
brings-
Pedro Jimenez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings those out.
The sherries.
Yeah. Little bit more of the red fruit, and even a little bit more of a commonality in a bread element,
Yep.
even though rye and barley breads are at completely different ends of the spectrum.
Isn't that an interesting comparison?
Yeah.
It's you wouldn't think that they go together, but they do.
Yeah.
They do. So of course
Which one was your favorite out of them?
of the three, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do a cop out. It really depends on the night and the mood. Right now, today, this very moment, I'm going to go with the Courage and Conviction. I like that American single malt.
It does offer a very
And
nice complexity to
Of
it.
the three of us, I'm probably dabbling in Scotch a little bit more than
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the other two.
That's true.
And so I'm not unfamiliar with what Scotch is doing,
Right.
to my palate. So I'm reaching for this, and I'm reaching for it for a purpose. Now, of course, we just scratched the surface, highlighted only the whiskeys that we've reviewed, and there are dozens, if not hundreds of more
Oh, yes.
in this range.
And like we say, you can find all of them on our website. It just really depends on what you're in the mood for.
Absolutely. So, let's jump into this fortnight in whiskey, our whiskey news segment. An unexpected whiskey brand may be buying one of America's largest craft brewers. Anchor Brewing just recently shuttered back after 127 years. They may be coming back to life because CEO of Chobani Yogurt, of all things, has purchased the rights to Anchor Brewing. Now, Anchor Brewing is out on the West Coast. Great beer. If you've not had an opportunity to have it, let's hope that Chobani Yogurt comes through. But there's another shakeup. Boston Beer Company, maker of Sam Adams. They're the second largest craft brewer in the United States after Yuengling. It's up for sale. Boston Beer Company is publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and it's valued at $3 billion. So guess who's looking at them? They've denied it, but there are reports that Suntory, the parent owner of Jim Beam, is potentially looking at getting into the beer business.
There is so much going on with this story. I mean, I had a bout with milk and dairy some time ago. I still kind of am. So I've had Chobani's, oat milk. I'm familiar with it. It's fine. I mean, if you like oat milk, it's a great one. But there's so much going on with this. Like, they're after beer, and then this company's after the beer. Like,
Well, I mean, this is interesting because Jim Beam, Suntory,
Yeah.
is a highly respected name in alcohol, period. Doesn't matter really where you go in the world. They're a big deal. And if they're looking to get into the beer industry, I don't see them only just getting into the beer industry. They're probably wanting to incorporate beer into everything else they do.
Well, Jim,
You can age things in beer.
Absolutely.
In beer.
I mean, the port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's porter, different thing.
We've had some whiskey that, from Dry Fly Distilling up in Spokane, Washington, where they take their bourbon barrels, they farm them out to beer breweries, and then the beer breweries age their beer in Dry Fly's casks, and then Dry Fly gets those casks back and finishes their whiskey in the beer barrels. Mm-hmm. So you talk about full circle. This is interesting to me. Suntory has categorically denied that they're after this particular thing. I imagine that kind of thing gets out, and Suntory, the price goes up.
Yeah.
It goes from $3 billion to $3.5 billion. Who knows? Who knows? But Boston Beer Company, they do some other things. I mean, they've got hard seltzer. They happen to be the owner of Angry Orchard, of all things. They do the twisted tea hard cider iced tea. But is Sam Adams really for sale? Well, we have to kind of wait and see. Like I say, Suntory has categorically denied. The Wall Street Journal indicates that there are other companies out there potentially looking at it. But who knows? We'll see what happens.
Well, even if Suntory isn't actually on the buyer's list, or Sam Adams Boston Brewing isn't even up for sale anyway, I would think that all of the rumor mill going around would be turning a few cogs in Suntory's bigwig group.
Absolutely.
To go, well, now wait a minute. Maybe this is something we should think about.
We've got to explore it.
Mm-hmm.
My second news story, SGWS and RNDC, and we'll talk about those alphabetics here in just a bit, face an antitrust lawsuit. Legal complaint alleging the U.S. distributors have stifled competition. It will proceed to court. The defendants, Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, SGWS, and Republic National Distributing Company, RNDC, and they've kind of been in the news off and on. We've talked about them before.
RNDC has been...
And they've been a popular name.
Yeah, they've had a few entrances into the news stories here on this podcast with similar themes.
This time we have a new complainant, online alcohol marketplace company Provi. They're saying that these guys are keeping them out of the online liquor sales world. Now, not the whole United States can do online liquor. We know that. There's only about, 14, 15, 16 different states that can do online liquor sales. But I think that that's going to be something that really is a coming thing. Mm-hmm. Provi claims that the two companies have violated antitrust laws. They've made an effort to maintain or enhance their respective monopoly power. Provi alleges that some of the actions include blocking and rejecting wine and spirits orders once retailers have selected Provi. It's making it very difficult. Well, a judge has said these allegations suggest harm stemming from the defendant's behavior, and it wasn't limited to Provi alone. So these guys may have been doing it to lots of different companies. Southern Glazers, they're headquartered in Miami, Florida. They're the largest alcohol distributor in the U.S. Back in March this year, they agreed to a $5.5 million settlement. Again, that was kind of brought to them by the Federal Trade Commission.
So, Provi is selling seltzers, you said?
They're selling online liquor.
So they're trying to be a distributor.
They're trying to be a distributor too,
How can
but
they
direct
prove,
to consumer.
So,
How can they prove that the consumer is of age?
I don't know that, and that's not part of my
Because-
story
that's
here.
outside of the scope
Well,
of
I'm
this.
just curious because that's. I mean,
that'd be a different topic for the show or a different
Yep.
news article down the line.
But it's a great question to ask.
Yeah, because it's like if I mean it's Amazon or even DoorDash. They have to prove if you're getting alcohol, you have to be of age. So I just wonder how they go about it. Like, is it like when you go onto a website and they say, "Are you over 21?" and you click the yes button and that's it?
Yeah.
Well, I would ask more specific to this news line. How is RNDC and this other group? How do you even allege that they're keeping you out of the distributing game?
By not selling you product.
By not selling.
but if Pro V is saying that they're their own distributor, then how do you get pushed to the side by another distributor online?
They
Well,
refuse to sell.
What it's saying in the article is Provi has to buy from somebody.
Mm-hmm. And these companies are refusing to sell Provi. They're saying no, you
once
can't
Provi
sell
has
it.
a contract.
They're not willing to go into that contract with them.
I think it's one of the situations. I mean, Hannah, you mentioned it. We've had this story kind of rear its head before. Texas headquartered RNDC, second biggest alcohol distributor in the United States. They were sued by Sazerac
Right.
for doing things.
Even a bigger name.
I think once you get your hands in the dirty pile, you expose yourself to other things.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that's what's happening here.
I mean, I suppose I'm just not understanding how Pro V is entering the market at all, because to me this sounds like, for the sake of argument, eBay is saying Amazon isn't letting eBay do eBay things. They're completely separate.
I think so too, but I also believe that Provi is getting started, and at this point they're probably buying from RNDC, or probably buying from Southern Glazers, or probably buying from other distributors. And then once those distributors find out that Provi is selling direct,
Yeah, because that sounds like laundering now.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. I just have questions.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that you're going to be keeping an eye on it.
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess I kind of understand it because I mean I'm working in a retail store and there's quite a few companies that we buy from, so it's kind of like if those companies were to say, nope, we aren't going to distribute our products to you, and we simply just end it. Like we can't get sheet music, we can't get instruments. Like they all of a sudden say, no, you can't do that anymore. So I kind of understand it from that regard.
Yeah. And like Hannah says, I'm keeping my eyes on the story. You know, we all love dirty laundry.
Oh yeah, it's drama.
So in this case, I'm keeping my eyes on it simply because I want to know what's going to happen with these two big distributors. I think the ramifications are even bigger than the distributors. I think the three-tier system, this is the chink in the armor that the three-tier system could drop. That's where you have a distiller selling only to a distributor selling only to a retailer. And the retailer can't buy directly from the distiller. I think the chink in the armor is there. And I think maybe we could be looking at something that may change. That came out right after Prohibition. It's a big story.
Yeah, it all
Yeah.
depends on how fast the government wants to move on that, though.
That's
I'm gonna leave that statement as it is.
Yep, the government. Well, Yeti. Everybody's heard of Yeti, the cooler
yeah.
company. They've waited for 16 years to launch something that should have been obvious to them day one. Does everybody know what Yeti is? Elora, what's Yeti?
Yeti is a company that will make thermal or thermoses, essentially. They make coolers, like you said, and they are known to keep things as warm or as cold for hours and hours and hours
And
on
days.
end. Yeah.
In days. So the Yeti product is designed to enhance the before, during, and after good times.
It's a preservation sort of thing.
Yep.
And I gotta say, I mean, I've used Yeti. I've even sold Yeti products to people. They do what they say.
Yes.
Yes. So they keep their stuff warm for hours. I usually drink out of a coffee mug from them. The thing is, I usually work like a 9-hour work day. Thing is still warm by the time I come home.
So, but how does this? Why are we talking about Yeti?
Well, they've just released their first ever flask.
I find that actually hard to believe because they've had wine glasses, they've had wine containers.
Yes,
and we've sold them.
Why no flasks? So now, here 2 months ago, they've released their first pocket-sized container. Holds 7 ounces of your favorite libation. Okay.
Again, they've sold wine
yes,
containers.
that's your adult beverage, I guess.
But they've sold wine containers.
Yes.
I find this.
Okay, but it's that those would be different from a flask.
Yes.
But if they've sold wine containers, why is it so
Why
hard
did
to
they-
come up?
they-
That's the point of the article. Why is
They
this
missed.
taking so long?
They missed. So this new flask, it's kitchen grade 18.8 stainless steel, holds 7 ounces of liquor. It has an easy twist cap, a stainless steel funnel to help you get it in the flask. It's curved so it fits in your butt pocket, I guess. And it's dishwasher safe. Available in black, pink, white, blue, red for $50.
That's, you know what? That's normal for Yeti. I will say that their products are expensive. So $50.
I just find it offensive. I'd rather get a souvenir product, a souvenir flask, which I have one from Europe, and maybe I paid $50 for it. Maybe I paid $5 for it.
But that's the thing about Yeti is they, advertise that long-lasting temperature.
But why?
And they will never sell anything below $39.99 in today's market.
Yeah.
Ever. Like everything is upwards from $40 to $60.
We all
Easy.
have our favorite flasks. You've got yours from Europe. I don't know that you have one, but
I stole it from Dad.
Okay, you've got one of mine. I've got 2 from Stanley. I mean, I like flasks for the purpose they are.
Yeah.
Okay, they fit in my fishing creel. Okay,
Right.
I don't have to take a whole bottle. Whatever. But Yeti finally has a flask. So new bottles. How about let's look at some new bottles that are out there. Next whiskey for your scavenger hunt. Jim Beam will soon be releasing its oldest whiskey ever bottled. Okay, oldest whiskey. It's close to 20 years old.
Wow.
You can only get it at the distillery. It may already be gone.
That's really surprising that Jim Beam hasn't hit that age mark before. I mean, Pappy Van Winkle underneath the Buffalo Trace line, underneath Sazerac. I mean, there's 23, 25-year-old. I mean, they're wow. That's interesting that Jim Beam's getting in on it now.
So they're just getting started. It's interesting that, they're saying it's only at 96 proof. So clearly it's being watered down.
But then that dumbs down the flavor.
Well, could be. Could be. Jim Beam is saying that bourbons are coming from the Jim Beam Distilling Company is part of the Bardstown collection. It was released alongside of Heaven Hills Distilleries, Log Still Distillery, Bardstown Bourbon Company, Limestone Branch, Lux Row, and Preservation Distillery. All 7 bottles launched at various points here during National Bourbon Week, middle of June. They went on sale at the distilleries on June 14th. Another bottle from Beam, Jim Beam's newest Little Book. Hannah, pay attention here. Little Book leans into the power of rye. Most whiskey drinkers are familiar with Booker's Jim Beam Barrel Proof Anchor, but 8th generation Freddie, master distiller Freddie No tributes his grandfather's Booker No series with his annual Little Book series release.
How many batches has he made?
This will be the 6th one, I believe. The 2024 release has focused on Kentucky rye for this new expression. Didn't batch 2 be a rye?
I can't recall.
This one is made up of a 4-year rye Kentucky straight rye, a 4-year-old rye, a 5-year-old Kentucky straight rye, Pennsylvania style, a 5-year-old Kentucky straight rye, another one, but with a char level of 1, a 5-year-old Kentucky straight rye, this one's from Kentucky, a 7-year-old
Kentucky family style,
right? 7-year-old Kentucky straight rye malt whiskey, and then an 11-year-old straight rye, and then an 18-year-old high rye bourbon. So it's coming in at 118 proof. It's coming in at the heels of the A. Overholt edition, which is Pennsylvania rye.
Right.
Mash bill, that particular rye is done with the Pennsylvania Monongahela style with a mash bill of 80% rye. This one I'm looking forward to. I want to find this rye, if for no other reason, to give it to you. Okay. It's called The Path Not Taken. It's rye whiskey from nose to finish. Its tasting notes, of course, this is what the manufacturer is calling it. Floral and fruity with notes of pepper, grape, pear, and cinnamon. Palate is similar with additional notes of chili powder, covered mangoes, grilled pineapple, salted caramel.
So those are actually really reminiscent of like Mexican candy flavors. Mm-hmm. Chili powder is a very frequent ingredient in Mexican candy. I remember one year in one of my Spanish classes, I had I was given like this chili shaped sucker that was coated in mango chili powder. And oh my gosh, it was one of the greatest things ever.
But you don't like mangoes.
Didn't matter because the little chili was like a gummy, so it made it all better. But the chili, but the chili powder.
It's just the texture, yeah.
But the chili gummy, I think, was like strawberry or something like that. It was really good though, so I can see how this sort of thing would work if this is the actual thing that I'll taste when I get my hands on this.
Yeah. Little book chapter 8. Okay, I was wrong. It's chapter 8. The Path Not Taken. Price is creeping up. $150 on this one.
Oof.
All of their bottles have been creeping up. I think the first ones we bought were right at $100. Might be difficult to find, but stay on the hunt on this one. I'm actively seeking. Now, for a few that we might be able to find out there, Templeton blends whiskey with port. We've been talking about blending tonight. Midnight Rye, the latest release from Iowa-based Templeton Distillery. It's American rye blended with port.
See, this is a very common combo because it works.
Yep. Mash bill 95% rye and 5% malt barley. Aged in American oak. And then it is returned into the wine casks. Bottled at that magical number, 45% ABV or 90 proof. Midnight Rye tasting notes. It says aromas of dark cherries, figs, subtle hint of spiced orange peel, flavors of cinnamon, clove, and a touch of dark chocolate. This one's fairly priced at $39.99.
A lot of the Templeton products really aren't that outrageous in their price points.
Yep.
Cinnamon, cloves, that's just a great combo.
And then Rebel, I just gave my age up there. Rebel reveals a 10-year-old single-barrel bourbon. Lux Row Distillers announced the annual limited edition of their 10-year-old single-barrel bourbon. We've had this, but it was a long time ago.
And it was so good.
Yeah.
I really would love... It wasn't called Rebel back then when we had it.
I think it was Rebel Yell.
It was called Rebel Yell back then. It's changed to Rebel. And it was such a good bourbon. And I'd love nothing more than to be able to get my hands on another bottle.
Yep. So this one is like all the other Rebels. It's a wheated recipe. Tasting notes here: vanilla and dark fruits, followed by citrus and oak.
Which isn't how I would describe that one at all. I remember it being very earthy, grassy, warm, autumnal almost.
Okay. Caramel and citrus on the palate. Velvety, smooth oak finish. $100 a bottle.
That's more than what we paid for many years ago.
Something about the economy and whatever else. We won't talk about that. But as always, links to these news stories and more you can find on our website. Those reviews that we spoke of, you can also find those on the website. Podcast Advantage or archive page on the website, whiskeyfortheages.com. Go out there and find yourself some new bottles.
Start your journey. And honestly, 90 to 99 proof is a great way to start.
Absolutely. Well, that's our show. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty good.
I like 90 to 100 proof whiskeys a heck of a lot.
It's a comfort zone. That's what I've got.
Yep.
So let's talk real quick about what we have coming up down the pike. Next episode, we have, drum roll, a whiskey review. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know that in previous seasons we've limited those whiskey reviews to being the first and last episodes of all of those series. We're switching it up this time. And we're going to have a mid-season whiskey review. And it's not going to be a bourbon. So
what?
Be ready for that. After that, we've got a guest interview. Very excited about that. I don't know if we've mentioned who our guest was going to be before. We know who it's going to be, though. And we're very excited to have this person on the show. Have him back on the show. Hint, hint. After that, we're going to do a distillery review. We like doing those spotlights on proof like we did tonight. We'll have another spotlight on a distillery, and that's going to be one of my shows.
Yep. I like having Hannah do all the work.
So I'm not going to spill the beans yet on which distillery I'm going to do, but you can count on it being fun.
And then I'm going to do an expose. Now, this one's going to be purely for fun. Okay? We're gonna
as opposed to everything else we've been doing?
Well, no,
like
this
those
one,
aren't fun. Like, come
this
on.
one is going to be involving everybody's thoughts, okay? We're going to discuss topics and challenges that we as whiskey and aficionados have. So maybe it's going to be talking about what whiskey do we like having with s'mores. Yeah, I just said it, the camping word.
So, okay,
or
so
maybe,
then you gotta make s'mores then with it.
Well, maybe. And maybe we're going to talk about what kind of music we like to listen to.
Oh, my topic.
Or maybe we're just gonna open it up. I don't know. Right now, there's probably 100 different things we could talk about.
Probably.
But we're just gonna have some fun with it. I have a new whiskey history thing. I stumbled across another one that it just blew me away when I started finding out about it. I had no idea. Not going to give you any hints, but it's going to be a fun one. Be set in the 1800s.
That was a hint. You just gave the people a hint.
I did.
Oh my gosh.
But it's going to be something that happened during that time. And then finally, we've got a listener pick review.
So make sure that you guys are paying attention to our social media for when that poll goes up for you guys to pick what we're actually going to be reviewing and posting as a podcast. This is the order that we have now. It's likely going to be the order that we have from here until the end of the season. But regardless, we're just going to have some fun, okay? And we're going to have probably a few surprises along the way. Few new bottles that we're going to be able to talk about that maybe y'all have never heard about, or ones that you've been waiting to know what they're all about. But it's going to be fun. So we look forward to talking with you all again very soon.
Yes, we're going to keep this up. And as always, we end our episodes with the ringing of the Glencairns. Cheers, everybody.
Hey, we've enjoyed having you around. Bye-bye.